What salary do you need to buy a house in Metro Atlanta in 2026? Hey, and welcome back. Cecily Simmons, Realtor here. And if you're thinking about buying a home in North Metro Atlanta, or maybe you've already been browsing Zillow at midnight, wondering if you can actually afford it, this video is for you. Today we are breaking down exactly what salary you need to buy a house in North Atlanta in 2026. And I'm going to be very specific. We're going to look at 3 different price points, walk through the actual monthly payment math, and give you a real number that you can take straight to your lender. So stay with me because the number that most people think they need is probably not what you expect. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. If you're on the house hunting journey, I drop new videos every week covering the Atlanta real estate market. All right, let's get into it. Let's set the stage with a little info about North Metro Atlanta's real estate market. First, let's define what we mean by North Atlanta because this is a big area and prices vary a lot depending on exactly where you're looking. When we say North Atlanta, we're talking about the corridor stretching north of the perimeter along Georgia 400 and beyond. That includes cities like Roswell, Alpharetta, Milton, Johns Creek, Cumming, South Forsyth, and then as you push further north, Canton, Cherokee in the west, we have Cobb County, Woodstock, Kennesaw. Why is everybody moving to North and Northwest Metro Atlanta? The demand for this area doesn't show any signs of slowing down. You've got some of the top-rated public school systems in the entire state of Georgia. You've also got growing tech and a corporate job corridor with companies like NCR, Voyix, Cisco, UPS, and dozens of others that have a major presence here. And then on top of that, you have beautiful green space, the Chattahoochee River, proximity to Lake Lanier, walkable downtowns in places like Alpharetta and Roswell, and you're still only 25 to 40 minutes from Midtown Atlanta on a good day. All of that demand has a price tag, and that price tag has gotten bigger over the last 5 years. Now let's take a look at the numbers right now. Let me give you the real median home prices across this corridor as of mid-2026 because this is the foundation of everything we're going to talk about today. Starting with the premium tier, Milton. Milton is sitting at a median of about $1.15 million. And that's not a typo. Milton has become one of the most expensive zip codes in the entire state of Georgia. Large lots, equestrian properties, top schools, it commands a serious premium. Now, Alpharetta is right around $700,000 to $725,000 for the median home. Johns Creek is very similar, right around $670,000 to $700,000. Roswell comes in a bit more accessible at around $600,000. Cumming and South Forsyth, which have exploded over the last few years, is sitting around $548,000. Sewanee is close behind at about $550,000. And then if you're willing to drive a little further north, Cherokee County, including Canton, is closer to $470,000 to $480,000. Still not cheap, but significantly more home for your money. Now, what's happening with the market right now? Here's what's interesting about 2026. We're not in the same frenzy we were in 2021 and 2022. The market has cooled to something that feels more normal. Homes in Alpharetta are sitting on the market for about 40 to 43 days on average compared to just about 28 days this time last year. And that means you actually have time to think. You're not writing offers at 10 o'clock at night with no inspection contingency. Inventory is up slightly, which is good for buyers, but here's the catch. Low housing supply in the best school districts is still a real thing. The core North Fulton market, particularly anything near the top-rated schools, still moves faster than the surrounding areas. And prices in most of these neighborhoods are up between 3 and 5% year over year. Not the double-digit appreciation of a few years ago, but still steady growth. So waiting isn't necessarily your friend here. Let's talk about the other big factor in affordability, mortgage rates. As of this week, June 2026, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate is sitting right at around 6.5%. Freddie Mac had it at 6.48% as of June 4th, and other sources are showing it in the 6.4 to 6.6 range, depending on your lender and your credit score. Now, I know what you're thinking. 6.5% feels high. if you bought or refinanced back in 2020 or 2021 when rates were in the twos and the threes. But here's the context. Experts from Mortgage Bankers Association are projecting rates will stay in that 6.4 to 6.5 range for the rest of 2026. There's no clear catalyst on the horizon for a dramatic drop. So this is the market that we're working with. Okay, the good news is rates are actually down almost 40 basis points from where they were a year ago. So there's slow, gradual improvement. But plan your budget around 6.5%, and anything better is just a bonus. Now the math. Let's break down your monthly payment. Okay, so this is where we're going to get into the actual math. I want to walk through this carefully because this is the most important part of the whole video. Make sure you take notes. When you're figuring out how much house you can afford, most mortgage lenders use what's called the 28% rule. This idea is that your total housing costs, that includes your principal, interest, property taxes, and homeowner's insurance, including any HOA fees, should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. Some lenders will stretch that to 30 or 31%, but 28 is a safe guideline. Now let me walk you through 3 real-world price points that represent what you might actually be shopping for in this market. Price point number 1 is $450,000. So we're starting with a $450,000 home, which depending on where you're looking might get you a 3-bedroom townhome in Roswell, or a smaller single family in Cumming, or something in Cherokee County with a nice yard. Assuming 20% down, that's $90,000. Your loan amount is $360,000. At 6.5% on a 30-year fixed mortgage, your principal and interest payment is approximately $2,275 per month. Now add property taxes. In Forsyth County, effective rates are among the lowest in the region, around 0.7%. In Fulton County, you're looking closer to 1% or a bit above. Let's use a blended estimate of about $400 to $450 a month for taxes. Now, homeowners insurance runs roughly $150 to $200 a month for a home in this range. And if you're in a neighborhood with an HOA, which is very common in North Atlanta, tack on anywhere from $150 to $300 a month. Many communities up here have HOAs, so don't overlook this. So your total monthly payment lands somewhere in the range of $3,000 to $3,200 per month. All right, so let's break out really quickly. I thought it would be fun to actually go into the Metro Atlanta market and look at some real world examples of homes in each of these price points. So to begin, we're looking at a home in the $450,000 price point range. Okay, so let me pull up that property here and let's share my screen. Share. Okay, so our $450,000 home is located at 440 Crimson Drive in Dallas, Georgia. Just to give you some raw stats to give you an idea of what you can get. In reference to the city of Atlanta, we're more northwest on the map. This home is $450,000. Thank you to the listing agent, Janice Overbeck, for allowing us to feature this home. This home is 2,271 square feet. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath home. And if you take a look at these photos, this gives you an idea of the type of home that you can get for this amount if you have this budget. And this is right at the median home price, okay? So this is a very nice entry here. And here we have what looks like it could be the primary with a wonderful tray ceiling detail. I would say all in all, I love the coffered ceilings here. Nice wood floors. It's a great looking property for that 450,000. Has a lot of nice detail. So we'll just buzz through some of these photos to give you an idea of what you can get for your money in this price range in Dallas, Georgia. Okay. Nice fireplace. And so keep this in mind. Now, we did mention some other property types that might apply if this is your price point that you're buying in. depending on what neighborhood you might be in, right? If you're in Roswell, it may be a little bit different. If you're in Marietta, Kennesaw, that price point may reflect a very different living experience. For example, in Roswell, you may be able to get a nice townhome. But these are just examples. Of course, nothing is concrete until you contact a realtor and let me help you find specific listings that fit your profile. Okay, but just a couple more before we move on to the next price point. This was built in 2016. It's got a two-car garage and it's on a 0.25 acre lot. All right. So that gives us an idea of what we can get for $450,000. So let's move on to our next price point, shall we? So now let's look at a $600,000 home, which is closer to the median in Roswell. And that gets you into established neighborhoods in Alpharetta or a nice 4-bedroom home in Johns Creek. 20% down is $120,000. Loan amount of $480,000 at 6.5%. Your P&I payment is about $3,035 per month. Property taxes at around 1% of assessed value, roughly $500 per month. Insurance closer to $225 per month. And HOA fees, let's say $200 for a standard community. You're looking at a total monthly payment in the neighborhood of $3,900 to $4,000 per month. So this is 5635 Ashwood Downs Drive, located in Johns Creek. We're moving into the $600,000 price point, and in this area of the market, we find ourselves in Johns Creek, Georgia. And this is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's 3,044 square feet. And I think it has a beautiful front-facing view. Let's go on down and take a look at a few more of the pictures. But yes, gorgeous home. Let's go through some of the pictures. Okay, so we now are in that North Metro Johns Creek, Alpharetta area. Okay, so in order to get there from the city of Atlanta, you're going to be going up Georgia 400, right? We've got our office. Just to give you a little idea, this could look like what could be a living room, a dining room. So we've moved up into the $600,000 price point. I'd say all in all, it's a nice home. It doesn't have all of the updating that you might get that we saw in the $450,000 home. But again, that home is located in a totally different city. So it's not really comparing apples to apples, but just to give you an idea, in Johns Creek at this price point, you get a well-built, well-maintained, right? Great bones, but it might not have that updating. But all in all, it's still a really quality home. Great view. Look at that backyard and that deck. Nice vaulted ceiling detail. So we'll just take a look at a couple more. That alone, if you're a nature person and you love your trees, like I do, sometimes that is enough, especially for families or individuals moving from locations where they're looking for a change from a more urban, concrete, heavy environment, relocating to Metro Atlanta. This is definitely a game changer and a great deciding factor. So this is what a lot of people are looking for, right? The nature views and the trees. So again, if we go back to, look at that, and you've got a creek back there, Johns Creek. I don't know if it's Johns Creek, but there's a creek back there. We can verify that. And you have a nice, comfortable layout, more tray ceiling detail in this home. I would say lots of wonderful space and potential to make this your own. Very nice. Love that clawfoot tub. Double vanities. Okay. So let's buzz on over and take a look at what we're going to get in the next price tier. Okay. But again, just to recap, Look at that. What a nice, gorgeous room there. I love the whimsical details when rooms have interesting shapes that you don't often see, you don't often expect or get in traditional standard architecture. Sometimes that is just enough to really make that. Sometimes those are the details that really win the hearts of buyers, in my opinion. So, just to recap before we move on to our final price point, the home itself is 3,044 square feet, built in 1991. So, and it's on a 0.2 acre lot. We see those HOA fees that we discussed, $38 a month. But all in all, I think this is a solid, well-maintained property for somebody who's looking for a nice home in Johns Creek. I'd like to take a moment and thank the listing agent, Ryan Nessett, from Atlanta Fine Homes Sotheby's International, for allowing us to take a look at this property as our case study. And then we have the $750,000 home, or $750,000 and up price range. This is going to put you solidly in established Alpharetta, nicer parts of Johns Creek, Woodstock's luxury new construction, or inching toward the lower end of Milton. 20% down is $150,000. A loan of $600,000. With a P&I payment at 6.5%, that's about $3,793 per month. Taxes, insurance, and HOA on a home like this are going to run you roughly $800 to $900 combined, making your total monthly payment roughly $4,600 to $4,700 per month. With this next price point, I do want to mention that I said $750,000 and up. So I went on ahead and just went up to $900,000. And I found an amazing listing. Thank you to the listing agent, Kathy Radler of Keller Williams Atlanta North, for allowing us to take a look at this lovely listing for the purposes of this video. So as I mentioned, we're coming in at $899,000, right at just under $900,000. This is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home. It's 3,439 square feet. We'll come back and look at the rest of the stats shortly. Let's go ahead and dive into this beautiful property. The lawn is immaculate. The front is pristine. Let's keep going. Okay, we've got a beautiful 2-door entry, nice spacious driveway if you're having guests over. Okay, foyer looks very nicely updated. Beautiful dark wood floors, studio lighting. Oh yes, beautiful finishes and fixtures. Stainless steel appliances. Again, I really love the details here in the kitchen. Love those lamps. Here we get a closer look. Looks like we have an 8-burner chef's cook stove or galley layout for the kitchen. Very modern touch in the kitchen here with the hood. Beautiful, and the gold finishes add a very high-end feel. I love that banquette seating there. Okay. Now let's buzz on through and take a look at, okay, that is a nice room there just off the kitchen. Look at our fireplace. Can't beat that. Beautiful brick fireplace. We'll take a look at a few more. I want to make sure we can take a peek at some of the bedrooms. But for the purposes of our video, this is a case study of what we can get in this price point. In North Atlanta, we're still northwest. We are in Marietta. This looks like it might be the primary, I'm not sure. But this is giving you an idea, like I said, of the feel of what we're getting for this price point. Looks like a beautiful house, a wonderful living space, very nicely updated. Lots of different lighting details. color details and additional finishes with the faucets and the fixtures. I'm loving that. Oh, you got me with this. You've got me with this wonderful closet. I feel like I'm at a store shopping and it's my closet. This is all I need to see. We love this. And there's still more closet space. Yes. Storage. Again, this gives you an idea of what is on the market, what is available in our final price point for the video. But all in all, I think this is a pretty solid property. Oh, look at that gorgeous chartreuse vanity. I love green. Love it. And I think it goes really nicely with the gold fixtures. And another thing I really appreciate is the variety of styles, the fixtures from the kitchen and the fixtures in the bathrooms. They have gold, we've got brass, we had more of a, we've had other, we've had gold, I've seen brass from their lighting and their faucets and their finishes, and I really love the tile here. So we're gonna go down. And it looks like we have a fully finished basement. This is where we really start to see the difference, right? In case you were wondering, where's the $900,000 price tag? Where's that coming from? Where, why, how, what warrants that? I think from the closets alone and this, along with all of the finishing, the high-end finishes, I think this is a wonderful answer. Justified. Look at this. Look at the way the layout of the basement, and it's fully updated, fully finished, very modern. But yeah, I think our second property we saw today didn't have a basement, which looks like a very generous, spacious, expansive backyard. And I think we will close it out by going back to the front of our listing. So this property was built in 1969. It's on a 0.26 acre lot. So it's not much larger than the others, I would say, but definitely have a nice flow in that backyard, that fenced backyard for outdoor living. We've got HOA fees, $10 a month. Okay. And yeah. Now, what if you put less than 20% down? Let's talk about it. If you're putting less than 20% down, you're going to want to add private mortgage insurance or PMI to these numbers. PMI typically runs between 0.5 and 1% of your loan annually, which adds anywhere from $150 to $400 to your monthly payment, depending on the loan size. It's not the end of the world, but it's a real cost to factor in, so don't forget about that if you're putting down less than 20%. Okay, here's the numbers you came for. Using that 28% rule, here's what your gross annual salary needs to be comfortably to afford homes at each of our 3 price points, assuming 20% down and a 6.5% mortgage rate. For a $450,000 home with a total monthly payment of about $3,100, you're going to need to earn roughly $133,000 per year. That's about $11,000 per month gross. And for a $600,000 home, you're looking at a salary of approximately $171,000 per year. And then for the $750,000 home at $4,650 per month, you need to be bringing in right around $200,000 per year gross. Now, before anyone panics in the comments, remember that these numbers assume a single income. A household where 2 people are each earning $80,000 to $100,000 is suddenly looking at combined income of $160,000 to $200,000, and that changes things dramatically. Dual income households are how the vast majority of people buy homes in this price range. Also remember, lenders don't just look at your income in isolation. They look at your debt to income ratio. That's all of your monthly debt, car payments, student loans, credit cards, plus your new mortgage divided by your gross monthly income. Most conventional lenders want that number under 43%. If you're carrying significant other debt, your effective buying power goes down. Let's talk about the costs that don't show up in the listing price, but absolutely show up in your bank account, because this is where a lot of first-time buyers get caught off guard. Number one, closing costs. When you buy a home, expect to pay between 2 and 5% of the purchase price in closing costs. On a $500,000 home, that's $10,000 to $25,000 due at the closing table, on top of your down payment. This covers lender fees, title insurance, attorney's fees, prepaid homeowners insurance, and more. Number two is HOA fees. I mentioned these in the payment breakdown, but I want to emphasize North Atlanta is HOA country. Planned communities, gated neighborhoods, swim tennis communities, they're everywhere. These fees can range from $100 to $500 a month, and they're mandatory. Always check the HOA fees and the HOA Reserve Fund health before you make an offer. Number three, home maintenance. A common rule of thumb is to budget 1% of your home's value per year for maintenance and repairs. On a $500,000 home, that's $5,000 a year, or about $400 a month, for things like HVAC tune-ups, roof repairs, appliances, landscaping, and the 1,000 other things that come with home ownership, right? Number four is utilities. If you're moving from an apartment into a 4 or 5 bedroom home, your utility bills are going to be higher, to say the least. Georgia power bills in a larger home can run $200 to $300 in the summer months. So factor that in. And number five, and this one's sneaky, homeowners insurance. These rates have been rising across the board. Georgia isn't Florida, but insurers have been repricing nationally and premiums are up. So get a quote before you close so you're not surprised. Okay, so maybe you looked at those salary numbers and thought, that's not me right now. So let's talk about how to make this work anyway, because there are real strategies here, okay? We have some options available. Strategy number one is the Georgia Dream Down Payment Assistance Program. If you're a first-time home buyer, meaning you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you may qualify for Georgia Dream's homeownership program. This is a state program that offers up to $10,000 in down payment and closing cost assistance as a zero-interest deferred second mortgage. You don't make payments on it. It's repaid only when you sell or refinance. And if you're a public employee, a nurse, veteran, or first responder, that amount goes up to $12,500 through the Penn Choice program. The income limits for Metro Atlanta counties are up to about $130,000 for a 1 or 2 person household, and nearly $150,000 for households of 3 or more. The home must be under $550,000, and this is absolutely worth looking into if you qualify. Strategy number two, buy in an emerging market. Now, this is the move that a lot of smart buyers are making right now. Instead of stretching your budget to buy in core Alpharetta or Johns Creek, consider looking further north, like Canton, Ball Ground, even Woodstock. You can often find a newer or larger home with a bigger yard for $100,000 to $150,000 less. The commute is a bit longer, but for many families, that trade-off is absolutely worth it. Cherokee County in particular has become a magnet for buyers who've been priced out of North Fulton. The schools are strong, there's new construction coming in, and prices are still meaningfully lower than the premium suburbs. Strategy number three, new construction versus resale. In this market, new construction is worth a serious look. Builders are offering rate buydowns where they temporarily or permanently lower your interest rate, sometimes by a full percentage point or more. That can save you hundreds of dollars per month, which is real money, right? The trade-off is that you may be in a less established neighborhood and you're buying land that hasn't appreciated yet, but the value proposition on new construction right now is genuinely compelling. Strategy number four, the buy now versus wait decision. I know a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines hoping rates come down dramatically. And here's my honest take on that. The Mortgage Bankers Association projects rates stay in that 6.4 to 6.5 range through the rest of 2026. Prices in desirable North Atlanta neighborhoods are still appreciating 3 to 5% a year. So if you wait a year hoping for a 6% rate and prices go up another 4%, you might have saved a little on the rate, but paid more for the house. That said, do not buy a house before you are financially ready. Make sure you have your down payment, your closing costs, your emergency fund, and a housing payment that truly fits your budget without stretching. The right time to buy is when you're ready, not because the market is moving. Let me zoom out for a second and answer the bigger question here. Is it worth it? Here's what you get for these prices. You get some of the highest rated public schools in Georgia, in some cases the entire country. You get communities built around families with parks, trails, swim and tennis, youth sports leagues, and farmers markets. You get relative safety. You get investment grade real estate in an area that has consistently appreciated over the long term. Over the past 5 years, home values across this corridor are up between 30 and 50%. Forsyth County alone has seen 5-year appreciation of over 40%. Homeownership here isn't just a place to live. For most people, it's been one of the best financial decisions they've made. Is North Atlanta the right market for everyone? No. If you're single, don't have kids, and prioritize walkability and nightlife over square footage and school districts, there are better fits inside the perimeter. Let's be honest, but if you're building a family, planning to stay for 5+ years, and want the suburbs to work hard for you, North Atlanta delivers. Okay, so let's bring this all home. Here are your 3 numbers one more time. To buy a $450,000 home in North Atlanta, you need a salary of $133,000. For a $600,000 home, you're looking at $171,000. And for a $750,000 home, you need to be in the neighborhood of $200,000 per year. Now, dual incomes can absolutely make these numbers work at lower individual salaries, and first-time buyers should be looking into Georgia Dream before they do anything else. Drop your target budget in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who's thinking about buying in Atlanta. It genuinely helps my channel grow. Be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. This is Cecily Simmons. The channel is Best Place to Live Atlanta, and I can't wait to help you or someone you know find your best place to live in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. See you on the next one.